Hey everyone, it's Kristen from k.becca, and in this silhouette print and cut tutorial, I'll show you how to color and recolor different types of images in Silhouette Studio. In the last video in this series, we created cut lines for different types of images. I have the file that we created in that video open here, and I'll be coloring and recoloring the images in this video using the tools that are available to us in Silhouette Studio. If you haven't watched my earlier video about the differences between vector and raster images, then you can check it out at the link that should be popping up right about now. I'll be talking about both types of images today. First, I'll click and drag to select the I love you heart design, and I'll press Ctrl+Command+C to copy it, then click over to a clean file and press Ctrl+Command+V to paste it. And I'll just zoom in here a little bit so we can see the image better. This design was originally an SVG cut file, so it's a vector file, which means that it can be scaled up or down without losing any image quality. It also means that the Silhouette Studio software knows exactly where the boundaries of this image are. Sometimes when you open cut files, they don't have a color fill, and other times like this they do. It just depends on how the designer of the file set it up when they designed it. SVG files can only be used in the premium versions of Silhouette Studio. If you have the basic free version, you can use other types of vector files, including GSDs and DXFs, or you can use the trace feature of the software to convert a raster image like a PNG or a JPEG to a vector. To color or recolor vector images like this one, we'll first open the Fill panel from the far right menu. It's the menu item with the icon that looks like a little painter's palette. When this panel is open, you can see that it has a bunch of little colored squares, which are our default color options. To recolor the design using the default color options, just click on any of the squares of color while you have the shape selected to change the fill to that color. The Fill panel also has a transparency option, and as you increase the transparency using the slider, the color will lighten as it becomes more transparent. You can also type a custom transparency number into the input area instead of using the slider. If the fill color that you want isn't in the default color palette, there are several ways to use your own custom color fill in the advanced option area. Click to open that, and you'll see a full spectrum color picker, as well as a few different input areas. To control the color using the color picker, you can use the slider to the right to desaturate the current color, or you can click anywhere within the color picker area to choose a color. The input areas at the bottom left are the HSL values. HSL stands for hue, saturation, and light. But to be honest, finding these values for a color can be difficult. If you want to use a custom color, I recommend using either the RGB input area in the middle, and these are the red, green, and blue values for a color. Or you can also use the hex area if you have the 6 number and letter combo for the color that you want to use. I'll talk more about these values and what they mean in an upcoming video in the series, but for now, just know that you can use these input areas to create custom colors if you know the input values for the color that you want to use. In addition to solid color fills, Silhouette Studio also offers a gradient fill option, and to access that option, click the little gradient icon in the middle here. After you do this, you'll see a bunch of different default gradient options, and you can fill the shape while it's selected by clicking on a gradient fill option. You'll notice when I do this that each separate element of the image is filled individually with the gradient. Because this is a grouped image, the software still sees each part of the image as its own individual element. To fix this, first press Ctrl+Command+Z a couple of times to undo the gradient fills and get us back to a solid fill color. Then, while the image is still selected, I'll open the Modify panel from the far right menu and click Weld to weld the separate pieces of the image into a single piece. Next, I'll open the Fill panel again and click over to the Gradient area, and when I click to fill the image with a gradient this time, you can see that it's a single unbroken gradient across the image. The Gradient panel also offers a transparency option if you want to lighten the color before printing. And if you click to open the Advanced Options area, there are even more options for customizing a gradient. If you double-click on either of the color handles in the Advanced Gradient area, you can then use the color picker to change the color and create a whole new look. And you can click in the gray area underneath to add additional handles and add your own colors to those. You can also slide and reposition your custom color handles to customize the gradient even further. And you can use the angle slider at the bottom or type a custom number into the input area to change the angle of the gradient. So you've got a lot of options for creating gradients. The final option in Silhouette Studio for filling vector cut file images is the Fill Pattern option. It's the far right icon in the Fill panel, the one with the dot pattern. When we open this panel, again you'll see a bunch of default options, and you can click on any of the options to fill the selected image with the pattern. There's also a transparency option in this panel, so you can lighten the color on the pattern before printing. Click to open the Advanced Options area for a bunch of additional options for customizing your pattern fill. You can mirror the pattern and change its aspect ratio using the top two options. You can also rotate the angle of the pattern in 90-degree increments using the buttons above the angle slider, and you can use the angle slider and angle input areas to rotate the pattern to custom angles. You can use the scale slider to scale the pattern down or up, but I recommend not scaling fill patterns too much above 100% because the fills are raster files, which means that their size and resolution limits how large you can make them before you start losing image quality, and they print out fuzzy and pixelated. Finally, you can click the Pan Pattern button and click and drag on the target-like icon that appears on the image when you press the button to move the pattern around within the image. This allows you to customize where you want certain elements in the pattern to be within the image, which is a really nice option to have. I'll click to use a larger scale, more complex pattern fill here so you can better see what you can do with the Pan option. If you want to use a pattern that's not one of the default pattern options, you can do this too. Either open a window on your computer with the pattern that you want to use and drag it onto the shape on the artboard in Silhouette Studio, or click to open the Library tab and click on a pattern that's in your Silhouette library to fill the image. I tested both of these methods with the basic free version of Silhouette Studio and was able to do both with the free version too. Another way to recolor images is to use the Image Effects panel. I'll talk more in depth about this panel with the next example image, but you can use the Effects panel on any raster image, and those include JPEGs, PNGs, and bitmaps. You can also use the Effects panel on gradient fills and pattern fills since they're created using raster images. However, you cannot use the Image Effects panel to alter solid color fills created using the Fill panel. It only works on gradients and pattern fills. Using the Image Effects panel, which is the little half-filled circle icon on the far right menu, you can do everything from desaturating the color in an image to completely recoloring it, increasing the brightness, and even creating a drop shadow for the image. The drop shadow feature offers a number of options, but it only really works with vector images like the SVG file that we're using here. Now let's go more in depth with what the Image Effects panel can do with raster images. I'll go back over to the original file here, and I'll click to select the Vase of Flowers image, which is a high-resolution raster file. It's a PNG image with a transparent background. I'll click Ctrl+Command+C to copy the image, and then I'll click over to a blank file and press Ctrl+Command+V to paste it into the file. Then I'll click Ctrl+Command+V again to create a copy of the image, and I'll click and drag it beside the original copy so you can see a side-by-side comparison as we modify the image on the right. I remembered that the cut file and image are still grouped, so I'll quickly ungroup them by using the Object menu from the top menu and clicking Ungroup in the drop-down. I'll quickly open the Fill panel from the right menu so I can show you that these options don't work on raster images because Silhouette Studio registers the image border as the border of the entire image. So in this example, it's a rectangle. If I click on any of the solid fill colors, the whole rectangle fills with the color. Gradient fills just make the image a blank white area, and for pattern fills, the entire rectangle fills with the pattern. But there's a lot that we can do with raster images using the Image Effects panel, so let's see what we can do. Click the little half-filled circle icon on the far right menu to open the panel. The first option here is the gray shade option. You can use this to desaturate your image or to take it completely to grayscale using the slider or typing a custom number into the input area. I don't want to add any gray to this image, so I'll move the slider back to 0. The next option is the colorize option, and I think that this is one of the most useful options in the whole panel. Let's say that you like the colors in the original image, but you're looking for something different or colors that better match the colors in a project that you're working on. You can use the hue slider under this option to completely change the color palette of the image. Just drag the slider around until you like what you see. If you drag it the whole way to the right, you'll be right back where you started color-wise. Often the colors won't be something that you really want to use, but at some point you'll usually hit on a few color palettes that look pretty darn good, like this one here. I really like these colors and they give the image a whole new look. I'll click apply to apply the hue changes, and you want to make sure to click apply after any changes that you make in any of the options, or else when you click to use the next option, the image will just go back to where it was before you made the changes. The next option in the panel allows you to adjust contrast, brightness, and saturation. And this option and the colorize options are the effects that I use most often in this panel. Use the slider or the input option to make the image darker or brighter. I want to bump up the brightness on this image just a little bit, so I'll increase that slider and just leave it be. Contrast allows you to lower or increase the contrast on your image. And I also want to bump up the contrast on my image, so I'll just slide that slider a little bit to the right and leave it. This will help brighten the image and help some of the details stand out more. The saturation adjustment allows you to desaturate your image a little bit or a lot. You can make it grayscale if you desaturate it the whole way, or you can increase the saturation to make the colors more vivid. Increasing the saturation the whole way will usually blow out entire color areas of the image, so you want to be a little bit more subtle with it. I'll desaturate my image just a little bit, and then I'll hit apply to apply all of the changes. The next option allows you to adjust the gamma on your image. Adjusting the gamma down will darken the image and eventually basically ruin the colors, and adjusting it up will brighten the image. Sliding it the whole way to the right will wash the image out until it's barely visible. I'll adjust the value to about midway and click apply to apply the changes. The next option in the image effects panel is invert, which allows you to invert the colors in an image to the colors exactly opposite them on the color wheel. So reds and pinks will turn to greens, blues will go to yellows and oranges, and much of the time you'll end up with colors that really don't look good. So this is an option I really don't use. The next option allows you to add a sepia tone to your images, and that is like a warm yellowish brown. You might want to use this option to give your images an aged, sort of vintage look, but if you drag the slider the whole way to the right, it will pretty much wash out your colors. I'll adjust the strength up just a little bit and hit apply to apply the changes. Next, we have the tint sliders, and these can be very useful if you use them to make subtle color adjustments to images and to get rid of color tints that don't look great when printed. There are sliders for red, green, and blue, and if you slide the red slider to the left, it will add a cyan or bluish tint to your image. Sliding it to the right adds a reddish tint, and I've found that adding a touch of red can often make colors look more vivid and warm. Sliding the green slider to the left will add a magenta or a bright pink tint to the image, and sliding it to the right adds a green tint. Finally, sliding the blue slider to the left adds a yellow tint, which can often warm up an image that's too cool. And sliding it to the right adds a blue tint, which can cool off an image that's a little too warm or rich in yellows and oranges. I'll warm my image up a little bit here by adjusting the blue slider down a little, which adds just a little bit of yellow tint. I'll click apply to apply the changes. Finally, we have the shadow option, which doesn't really work with raster images because, as I mentioned earlier, Silhouette Studio registers the image borders as a box around the image, so if you attempt to add a shadow, it's just going to be a big gray box. You can see how useful the image effects panel can be for recoloring and making adjustments to raster images. The adjusted image has a whole new look now and can be used in even more projects and with different color schemes. I do want to mention the little outline box that you've probably noticed around the adjusted image. I'm not sure why this happens, but it showed up pretty much every time I used any of the image effects on the image. It seems to be some sort of bounding box for the image, but the good news is that the box won't print when you print the image on your printer. I printed this several times as a test, and every time the border box did not print. In the next video, I'll show you some different ways to add color to digital stamps, which are also known as black and white line art. This will give you even more options for coloring images for Print and Cut in Silhouette Studio. I hope that you found this video to be helpful, and if you did, it would be great if you would give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll tune in again soon.